with warmer weather means more outdoor activities. Hence, more camping trips. This week, we share our favorite camping trip memories.
Pour the coffee!
Top of the mustache to you, and welcome to another episode of Mustaches and Coffee, where the topic goes, nobody knows. I'm Isaac.
I'm Ben.
Glad to have all you mustache and coffee lovers with us. It is great to see you, Ben. How are you?
I am dandy. How are you?
Dandy. I haven't heard that word in a long time, but I am doing great. I'm excited for this episode. It's a topic that, I think everyone has some kind of story when they were camping to share. So I'm excited to get into that. But before we do, let's catch up a little bit, just like we always do. So I have to ask you, Ben, what's brewing in your life?
So over the weekend, I went and played golf with my dad and my brother at a little par 3 nearby. Apparently it was supposed to rain all day, but it never did. So pretty much just that. And I got a new coffee grinder.
Nice.
Our other one broke down, so this one's a little bit larger and a little bit more oomph to it. Yeah. So I'm excited to break it in some more. So that's what I got going on.
Awesome. Well, you got to upgrade. Whenever something breaks, you upgrade. That's the way to go. And with grinders, it feels like they're never big enough. At least the coffee beans that I'm dealing with, they're always stubborn. So that's awesome. Well, I'm happy to hear that. I don't know. We might need to have to look at our grinder because it feels like it's on its last leg sometimes. But yeah, that's some pretty fun going on. Like you said, it was supposed to rain all weekend, but I didn't really notice. So as far as for me, I was just kind of hang out with the family, doing different things. I will say one thing that was new is I found this place nearby that is a mom and pop store, and they do used movies, games, that type of store, and memorabilia, that kind of thing. It just seems like you can't find those as much as you used to. And when I went in, I just said, hey, I didn't know about this shop. And he said, yeah, I've been here for like 14 years. I was like, oh, I've been missing that train for a while. So it's just nice to have a local shop like that if you ever need it. Like, yeah, especially with streaming. I don't know if you noticed, there's this game with streaming where there's movies or TV shows, and then you think it's there, you go to look, and oh, look, they took it off. And now you have to buy it or rent it or go subscribe to another streaming. It's like, you have to jump all over the place anymore. So it's nice to have one of those shops nearby. So that's pretty much all. I don't know. Sound kind of boring. It's like being an adult, and I'm happy about a shop.
That's what's nice is it's funny that you mentioned that, because I was actually just watching a video about how people are getting annoyed with streaming, spending so much money. So this guy has this device that you can get, and he would go to like Goodwill and buy all the DVDs and download it on this device. And basically it's a streaming platform for your house. You can download everything and have all the movies right there. So that's kind of neat.
That's just something he came up with himself, or
I think it's a device you can buy. I don't know what it's called, but they sell them, and he was talking about how to set them up.
Oh, okay. I was going to say that's something that's been needed, especially with the thing that streaming has done is made us lazy, because we don't have to get up and put a DVD in unless you have one of those like 5 DVD changers. But yeah, that's kind of the thing. It's convenience. And then we get in that habit. But if you have a device like that, that'd be perfect. I might have to look into that.
And I also ran into something on YouTube that was also interesting. Was there is these you can look them up online, free blockbusters Um, it's like you might have seen those like free library places around where you can take a book out, leave a book. But it's like a old newsstand full of movies. It's like take a movie, leave a movie. And I guess they got them all over the place. So I'm like, that's kind of cool. I think the closest one from me is like somewhere in Mason.
Okay. Yeah, that is really cool because I've seen those like mostly on lakes, which makes sense for books because you're wanting to probably read by the, on the beach or something. But I've seen that like, take a book, leave a book, almost like the take a penny, leave a penny idea. But yeah, that never thought about that for movies. I don't know. There's all this things I need to do more research on with the frustrations of streaming. It's like you got to improvise sometimes.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Well, that's about all that's going on for me. I know not much going exciting, but that's all I got. So without further delay, let's go ahead and jump into our main topic. So you've probably been on a camping trip. It can be very relaxing, it can be a lot of fun, but normally what follows is some funny or fun memories that you share with your friends. So this week, we're going to sit down and share some of our favorites that come to mind. So why don't you kick things off, Ben? What's a memory when you think of camping trip that comes to your mind?
So, this one was interesting. This happened, I think it was like 2017. Me, my dad, and my brother went to North Carolina, and towards the end of October when it was starting to get really cold already. So I just remember we camped out in the middle of nowhere, and the funny thing about it was my brother is looking up like news articles about like people getting attacked by bears. So I'm like, great. So all I had to sleep in was like a camping bag, like I'm trying to think of the word. My mind's blanking. A tarp. I had like a tarp and then a little canopy sort of thing.
Kind of like a hammock, but you could
hammock.
Sleep in it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. I visualize what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So I set up this hammock and then I put a tarp over it with a string a little bit above the tree. And the whole time that night, I keep hearing like crack, crack. And I'm like, bear's going to get me. Bear's going to get me. But I forgot to mention in the news article, it said that a bear dragged a man out of his hammock by the scalp.
Oh, wonderful.
So I'm like, great, I'm gonna be bear food tonight. So anyways, it's like we're also a mile high in elevation. So we're not used to it. So it's really, really cold. So my dad's like, man, it's just freezing outside. So we drive like a half an hour to like the local Walmart. And it's at that time, it's like 2 a.m. We get some like more blankets and stuff. And I had something for dinner previously that did not agree with me. I stupidly decided to pack only like this emergency like MRE bar that's like made out of chalk or whatever. So I just wanted to see what that was like. So I ended up eating that, like half of it. And then previously I bought this black cherry drink that did not agree with me. So anyways, long story short, so we get back from Walmart and I'm just like, pull over and just bleh, all over the place. The next day we ended up, I stayed in the tent and my dad and brother's like, all right, we're just going to go to town and run around. So I ended up like staying back for like 3 hours in the woods by myself, staring at trees. So that was fun. That was the first camping trip I have.
That's a mixed bag of things going on there. That's I think you could tell one story for one of those things. That's very interesting. In my experience with you, a lot of drinks don't sit well with you. So
No,
I hope you've learned your lesson on that.
I have.
Even though you tried that Jones drink recently, I was afraid you were going to throw that up. So thankfully, you just had a little bit.
Stick to water, people. Stick to water.
Can't go wrong with water. That's right. So at least in your case, please do that when I'm with you.
Yes.
Well, my first one is just a really cool memory. I have a few funny ones, but I wanted to start off with there is one year where it was at least 100 people, but it was close to 150. We just kind of knew each other, and we took over this campground, and it's like that every year at this location. But this one year specifically, they had some people we knew, they had their own food truck. And the very next week from when we were camping was a food truck competition. So these guys said, we need to just keep cooking because we're practicing. You know, we came to have fun with everybody, but we're also focused on next week. So they said, if you can, please eat as much of our food as you can. And so they were making pulled pork, brisket, just barbecue out the wazoo and just handing it out to people for free. What was going to be, you know, you think about food trucks, I think it's at least $10. And, you know, we would give them feedback. Like, I think this needs that, so we were helping them, but it was just so cool camping and getting barbecue. I had like a brisket nacho. It was like one of the best brisket I've ever had. Like, not being partial. It was just so good. And to go with that story, what was so cool is this was before I was married. It was just myself. I went down and I was at a campfire and knew everybody there, but the person's campsite, they were like, well, I'm getting tired, so I'm going to turn in. And I look up and I see another fire. So I'm like, okay, I'll go walk over. It was dark enough that you could see where you're going, but it was dark. You couldn't see probably more than, 15, 20 feet away who a person was. So she just saw a fire. So I started walking, and sure enough, I know the people at that campsite. And I go, hey, how's it going? I sit down and just visit and talk with them for about an hour or two. And then that person said, well, yeah, I'm going to turn in. So and they put the fire out. And I look up, there's another fire. So I get up and walk, and sure enough, I know those people. So it's just a really cool, like, I called it my campfire hopping. I just went from one to the other, and I knew the people at each one. So it's just a really fun experience. Nothing like that. And like I said, it was before I was married, so something I'll probably never be able to do again. But I still hold that memory very fondly. So.
Yeah, and some of my best memories or camping is actually with you. So we have a lot of funny ones. I don't know if I should spoil some of the ones involving your brother. If you want to mention any of those,
no, go whatever story. What's another memory you have? Go for it.
So it's with you. Actually, I'll touch on the Doritos. You know, people that listen. I have an infatuation with Doritos, apparently, because all the stories I have has something to do with Doritos. So I was camping with Isaac years ago. And I remember I was like, man, has anybody come up with the idea of roasted Doritos? So I remember we all took this stick and made it real pointed, and we were able to like pierce the Dorito just right, get it on the stick, and we're cooking it over the campfire. And we're like, this is probably not anything good. It's the best thing I've ever tasted. So if anybody's out there, if you want to try that, try Doritos over open flame. It's a game changer. But that's one of the greatest memories I have of that camping trip is Doritos.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, Doritos is kind of already roasted, but
yeah,
what you do, I think what made it unique is that smoky flavor. So you don't really think about like smoky Doritos. I don't know if they have. Do you know if they've ever had a flavor like that before? Smoky Doritos? I don't think they have.
I don't know, but like I feel like I was onto something. Like I think at the time I even like emailed them later on, like the company after that camping trip with you. I was like, hey, here's an idea. Put them roast them over an open flame or something. I never heard back, but I'm like, that could be a gold mine.
Maybe that's something we do in a future episode if we make our own homemade Doritos from scratch.
Yes,
like we bake them and then we put them over a flame to top them off
to
get that extra crispy, what you're talking about, kind of thing, and then it would be our own thing. Yeah, that could be an idea to go with it. So,
and Doritos, if you happen to be listening to our podcast, we are looking for a sponsor, so please contact us.
It has to be smoky Doritos, though.
Yes, smoky. I like it.
Yeah. That was a fun camping trip too. So just a good relaxing trip. But I do remember you doing that, and they were very good, especially around a campfire.
Yes.
But yeah, my next one is actually on the same trip I spoke of before, but I wanted to bring out what was a funny memory. So there was a friend of mine I knew. He met me there. I had my own tent, and so we said, "Hey, let's get our own campsite and we'll share it." Because, like I brought out, there's tons of people there that we do. So we just were planning on, hey, we'll share a site, but we can kind of hang out with our friends and all that. Well, he gets there, and a group of them say, "Hey, let's do," and I'm blanking on the game it's called, but it's pretty much hide and go seek in the dark. I think it's called like Hunter or something because it's one person trying to find everybody, and it's at night. So we go out to this spot. It's like more of the park area with the picnic tables and stuff. And so I go and I find this tree, and it just happened to be a really good, like, oh, nobody's going to be able to find me, even if they were looking there, kind of a tree. It kind of went in a little bit. So anyway, it got to be, I don't know, about an hour. And I'm thinking, man, this is really taking a while for people to find me. And I thought I heard like yelling, but I'm like, maybe that's people getting found or something. So I just stayed put. Well, after that, like I said, it felt like an hour. I was like, okay, I'm going to see what's up. I come out and everybody's gone. I'm like, what is going on? And I walk back to the camp and they're like, oh, there you are. And I'm like, yeah, what happened, guys? Like, oh yeah, we couldn't find you. And we looked all over. I was like, well, how long was I gone? And sure enough, they were like, yeah, you were gone for like an hour or something. So I was just hiding in this tree for like over an hour or something like that. So I jokingly said to my friend, I'm like, well, why didn't you like call out for me or anything? And he just kind of like shrugged a little bit. And so I jokingly was like, okay, that's strike one. And so the reason I bring this up is then later when we go to bed, it was freezing because we went in October and much colder than your summer camping. So anyway, in the middle of the night, I literally have icicles going down my nose and I'm just shivering. I'm like, oh, what is going on? And I look over and my friend, because I had a little heater that I had brought with me, but he had taken the heater and directly pointed it on himself to where I was getting no heat at all. And he's just curled up in his sleeping bag, like looks like a baby sleeping, kind of a thing. So the next morning, though, I was like, that's strike two, man. Like, you about froze me to death last night and everything, moving the heater. Well, I had brought some golf clubs. Speaking of, you went golfing. Well, some buddy said, yeah, there's a group going to go golfing or whatever. And, or I actually take that back. I didn't bring my golf clubs. That's what it was. So we get up for breakfast and there's a group and they're like, where's so-and-so? And they're like, oh yeah, they went golfing. And I turned to my friend. I'm like, people were golfing? He's like, yeah, because I said, I'm going to bring my golf clubs. And he was like, yeah, people don't really golf. So I missed out on that. So I was left in a tree in the dark, about froze to death. And I missed out on golf. That's pretty much the story of it. I know it was kind of long ended, but that I finally said to him, "That's strike three, man." Like it was just boom, boom, boom. But yeah,
like calling a taxi.
Yeah. It was a great trip. Other than that, but we laugh about it to this day. I've caught up with him a few times. We still stay in touch and we laugh about it. So yeah, that's a funny memory I have to go along with it.
Yeah, I think one of the greatest memories of that trip involved your brother in the cornfield. I think it was a cornfield. Yeah. It was some sort of field. So I just remember that entire trip heading to the campsite. I think your brother was playing like covers of other band covering other songs.
Yeah.
And we like, I think we were, I can't remember if at one point we were getting lost or got turned around or something. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, we were, going out to the middle of nowhere, it felt like, because there was just cornfields, like you mentioned. And my brother had like this is going back 10 plus years. So it was an actual iPod, I think.
Yeah.
And he had it hooked up to the car. So he'd coming through the speakers and he kept losing it. It kept dropping in between the seats.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. So when you're mentioning, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. He kept dropping it. It would get stuck. So I think at one point he was like, I got to use the bathroom, but I'm going to wait. And he dropped it in and said, you know what? Let's just pull over because I need to get this out and I can use the bathroom. And so, yeah, we pulled over. Yeah, I laugh just thinking about it because it was like a little dip on the right side of the road, and up on the left side there was like a trailer house. So it looked like no one was home, but my brother was just like, I gotta go. I really gotta go. So we're like, okay, just be quick, and kind of try to get behind this dip so you're not seen. So he's trying to go to use the bathroom, but we hear from the trailer house, hey, that ain't no restroom. And my brother's like, sorry, like waving, but he's just like, go drive. Because I think I was driving and he just hopped back in the car. But for many years after, yeah, we would say, hey, that ain't no restroom. But you get it. You got to stop off on the side of the road. It's just how it goes. And it makes me think of another trip with my brother, and there was two friends of ours that joined us. We used our parents' tent that was, I want to say, 15, 20 years plus. And it was one of the old style, because tents nowadays, you can get them and they're waterproof. This wasn't the case. You had to waterproof it. I can't remember why, but it didn't get waterproofed. And we went on this camping trip where it was forecasted to rain, but we thought, I guess it would be okay. Well, unfortunately, yes, it rained. So I recall waking up and it's like 1 a.m. It's just you're half awake, and there's this lake just forming next to me of the water just seeping in. So I take my shoes and I just made it like a wall because I was so tired. And then I went back to sleep and then woke up and it was like seeping around my shoes. So I take something else. And so I was waking up on the hour. But what's so funny about the story is it was a tent that had divided rooms. So I was with my one friend, my brother, and the other friend was in another room. Well, my brother wakes up and he's like looking with the flashlight, and we're like, what's wrong? And my one friend, he's like, he's not in here. I don't know what happened to him. And we're like, maybe he went to the bathroom or something, whatever. He's like, no, I didn't even hear him get up or something, And I just have this in my head still. Our friend sticks his head through the door and he's soaking wet.
Oh,
he's like, I got soaked, so I'm sleeping in my car. And so he zipped it back up and went in there.
That's awesome.
Another hour goes by, and the friend that's in the same room with me, he goes, I've had it. I'm soaked to the bone. And he's just like doing the whole like flopping, and you can hear the water splashing. And my brother says, come in here. It's fine. I'm bone dry. I could just tell like the like he's just soaking wet. It's so frustrated. It's at the time, obviously it was a horrible experience, but I can look back on it with, being funny and laughing about it. Just the suffering we put ourselves through unnecessarily because we should have known better. It was going to rain, but yeah.
Any camping story, when you're talking about camping stories, all I can think about is like, I feel like I have to itch my skin from all the mosquito bites.
Yeah.
Did you get attacked by a lot of bugs on your trips?
They're drawn to me. Yeah.
Same here. They just
yeah.
I'm like food to them. I'm like nectar.
I don't know what it is. They say that it can be your blood type. Sometimes they know what that is. I've heard it's your sweat. I heard it's just your hair type of whatever it is. But whatever, I'm normally the trump where someone will say that, oh yes, they're always attracted to me, but then they'll be sitting there like, oh, I'm actually okay. Well, they're all attacking me. I'm usually the one that the mosquitoes like to eat. I must taste really good. I don't know.
Yeah. So my next camping story, it's actually something that to this day I still can't explain what happened.
Okay.
Something very strange happened. So we were with a group of about, I want to say there was probably like 30 people. Like everybody knew each other. We stayed for like 4 days at Paint Creek, Ohio. So there's something weird with the animals that that time. But I remember one of the funniest memories was I forgot to pack soap.
Okay.
But they had like a little public shower. So this is a little embarrassing. So I was like, all right. So I go to take a shower and I ended up finding the like soap on a rope that was
Okay.
randomly there. So
Yeah.
I was just like, okay, I'm going to use this soap on the rope. For some reason, I was under the impression that somebody would randomly put new soaps on a rope in this shower. That doesn't really happen. Anyways, long story short.
No. No.
So yeah, you know where I'm going with.
Okay.
I bathed, I showered with this soap on a rope, and I smelled like an old guy for the rest of the
Oh.
trip. And I looked at a buddy and I was like, "Hey,
Ooh.
what'd you think on the soap or the rope?" He's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Oh, I thought he just like randomly would show up." He's like, "No." So he's like, "Oh, you smell like old man."
Oh.
But
Oh, Ben.
yeah, that was bad. So there's a lot of other stuff that randomly happened on that trip. One night I just hear this guy screaming and he comes running out of the woods, like with his hands up in the air going, ah! We were like, what's wrong? He's like, yeah, I was just walking in the woods and this deer and this raccoon started fighting. And then he said all of a sudden they turned and looked at him and started chasing him. So
the things that happen to you, I don't know how.
Oh, wait, it gets better. It gets better.
Oh, goodness.
So there's the story that I've told a few people. We also did that. I think we called it like manhunt or something where
That's what it's called. Yeah, manhunt.
Yeah. I think it's one person goes out, they find somebody, and basically it expands. So we were out in the woods at like 3:30 in the morning. I remember it was a no moon. It was completely pitch black. And we a group of us went off to one way, the other group, we saw them off to the distance. They were like way off to the left-hand side. We could see their lights and everything. So I'm up in a tree that happened to like fall over on another tree. So it's kind of like an A-frame. So I was up with another guy, probably about like 15-20 feet in the air. We're kind of straddling the log, our feet are dangling down. There's another guy in another tree. Like we're all kind of hunkered together in this area. To our right hand side, I start hearing this sound. So I'm like, okay, what's going on? Okay. Well, here's the weird thing about it. It's like I started hearing like snapping twigs and branches and stuff, and it's like getting steadily louder as it's coming towards us. And it's like it's not like little, it's like a pause in between, like boom, and then boom, like it's whatever this thing is getting closer. Long story short, it stops right underneath me, and my legs are dangling. And
Mm,
everybody's like whispering, like, "What's going on?" Like, everybody's starting to get terrified, like, "What in the world is going on?"
yeah.
All of a sudden, I feel something brush up against my foot, almost like it did that.
It felt like hair, or was it?
No, like a hand, like
Uh, okay.
the weird thing is, I was so high up, there's nothing nothing underneath us, like, if I would've fallen out, I would've snapped my legs, nothing, easy.
Yeah.
I don't w to long story short, we still don't know what it was. All the other guys were terrified, and they're like, "Was this Bigfoot? I don't know." But there was nothing tall enough to reach me, so
Yeah.
weird. That's my long story about it.
Just be glad I wasn't with you, because you're talking about the stomping. I would
Yeah.
have still, even in that terrifying moment, been like, oh, maybe it's the power trying to come back on. Because that's where my mind went. I was like,
Yeah.
where's that cup of water with the earth shaking with each step? So I don't know. Maybe you had an encounter with a dinosaur. Who knows if it was.
I have no idea what it was. I can't explain it.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably some kind of reason there, but that's still freaky.
Especially when something grabs your leg, kind of brushes up against it, and you're like, okay, what's going on here?
It's hard to say with those situations. I mean, just not being there. That's just interesting story for sure. That's one of the more different stories I've heard you tell, honestly.
Yeah.
So I've never had I guess any kind of story I have from here is not going to be able to. It's going to sound boring compared to that.
Just don't go camping with me. I'll smell like old man.
Yeah.
Be chased by Bigfoot.
And people randomly screaming and running out of the woods. And
yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'll keep that in mind. That's a note. No offense, but I'll probably skip that camping trip if you invite me.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, I'll go to more of a funny, not creepy, and thinking what could possibly, this event have been. But I had the bright idea of camping out in my parents' backyard. They live out in the country, so that was the thought. Is it's more like camping. The problem is they have a train that's not too far away. So it's, I don't know, every 15 to 20 minutes, a train will go by. I'm not kidding. And it's the loud kind of train where the whistle is blowing like solid minute and the rumblings like shake you. It's wasn't very well thought out. So as we're laying there, I'm like, this was a bad idea, because we wanted to just go close by and just have an experience for our kids. And on top of that, there was wild cats, just normal cats, not like your, cougars and all that, dangerous. But they decided to come up to our tent and try to scratch and get through. So our whole night, in a nutshell, was just meowing and scratching and a train going by every 15 to 20 minutes. I've never felt so miserable. And the next morning, I felt like I was literally hit by a train. And I guess what made it worth it is all of our kids was like, that was awesome and great. I don't know how they slept through all that. I really don't. They are heavy sleepers, I guess, but I think they've since grown out of it because they're the opposite. But at that time, it was like, how did you even sleep through it? But yeah, that's kind of my, I guess, kind of a funny story of like, well, we aren't good at planning. We see it's going to rain. We don't waterproof the tent. And we realize that, yes, a train's going to go by, but it'll be fine. No, it's not. No. So lesson learned.
Those are always the ones that will make you go insane when you can't sleep.
Yeah.
I have a short one. It's kind of a camping trip. It's more like I stayed at somebody's house, but we were kind of camping outside. So I went to a friend's family reunion down in Tennessee, and his aunt had one of those grandfather clocks every dang for like a weekend. And then I also randomly developed a southern what do you call it? Southern drawl or whatever. I had an accent for a while down there. It was, I don't know. Anyways, yeah, I can relate. Trying to sleep is on trips can be a little difficult. Things go your way.
You come to appreciate your sleep. I'll say about camping trips. I don't know if everybody is like that, but sleeping on the ground for even a day or two, you really do appreciate your sleep at home. And that's not with the trains another thing to factor in. So, but the only other memory I have, just real quick, I'll bring out. It was just kind of a fun but funny memory I have. We had a family camping trip, just the my parents and brother, and we had a dog that we brought with us. But what was funny about that trip is we heard rustling in the woods. We were right by the woods, like you typically are, but we were like right next to it. And I just remember we were just kind of like, what's that noise? What's going on? And our dog is going berserk, just, you know. So we're like, okay, you know, hope it's not like a bear or something. But we go out, and I think it was my dad. It might have been my mom, but they're trying to get one of those flashlights that could shine brighter. We had like a really bright one. It wasn't just a beam. It was like it could light up an area. So they're trying to get it to go, and I just remember them like hitting the batteries. You know, like, oh, let me get this on. You know, and our dog is just barking and barking, barking. And I'll just remember I look up and there's like shining, like light going on the trees, just to give you an idea. So anyway, long story short, hit the light. And I'm not kidding. There's like 10 raccoons, and they're all on trees, and they just stop and they freeze because they see this beam of light just hit them. And it was just almost like, we didn't scream, but it was almost like in the movies when the light comes on and go, ah, you know, it was like this, like, whoa, we didn't expect to see that many raccoons. And we come to find out we had like some food that was left out. So they were trying to make their way out to get to it. So yeah, we definitely put that in the cooler. We were like, nope. But it freaked me out pretty good. You know, it's different when you're out in the woods and there's nothing between you and nature but a plastic or cloth from your tent. It's definitely freaky. So,
especially when you see all those eyeballs staring back at you.
Yeah, it was just creepy. It was really, really creepy. But it was a fun trip other than that. But that was a funny moment we can look back on too. So. Well, I think we shared a pretty good amount of memories there. You definitely, I think you take the cake with the one story there, but we got a good mixture going on there. But we want to make sure you, the listener, if you've got any funny or even fun, just a neat whatever camping trip that you want to share with us, be sure to message us. We'd love to hear your favorite camping trip memories. So let's go ahead and move into our last segment.
Last drop.
Brought to you by coffee.
Take it away, Ben.
Are you short on cash and need to take a BM? A company named humanmicrobes.org said they are looking to study stool samples that they can use to research purposes. If you qualify, you can get $500 per sample or up to $180,000 a year. So don't flush down your gold nuggets just yet, but check to see if you can qualify. That's what I got.
Wow. I never thought it would be possible, somebody to pay for your stool. But, you know, the saying that you're just flushing money down the toilet? You could be possibly doing that and have been for many years. So that's good to know. Thank you for that public service announcement, Ben. Check it out if... you know, you feel like you're wasting your stools. Make some money off of that.
Absolutely.
So, well, that about does it for now. But before we wrap things up, let's make sure we do our due diligence. So, Ben, why don't you tell everyone where people can find us at?
Yeah, you can find us at Facebook, Instagram, at Stash and Joe on Twitter. And we are all over the web now. So just Google search us if you aren't sure what streaming network you can listen to us on. And then just make sure you ring the notification bell. That way, whenever we have a new episode drop, you can be notified. That's how you can get a hold of us.
Yep, that's where to find us. And be sure you're following us on Instagram. We have a giveaway going on. That's all I'm going to say. You need to go to Instagram. You need to find the post, and the details will all be there for you. So be sure you check us out. Make sure you give us a follow and a like. If you can, also give us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast, and that way more people will be able to find us. So that'll do it for now. But as we always say, don't bash the stash.
I need espresso for the depresso.
Goodbye, everybody.